Our Week 9 cash lineup scored a solid 133 points, while our GPP lineup flamed out with only 102, partially due to the early injury of David Johnson and the unexpectedly poor game script for James Conner. We'll get you ready for Week 10 with a full cash and GPP lineup, all coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee with the Fantasy Football Consultants. I have one word for Brian Fowler and Dave Legeski.
Congratulations.
Welcome to our FanDuel contest. You have qualified. There are 4 spots still left to qualify to potentially win $100. How does it work? Go into the YouTube comment section of this video. Tell us on the main slate on FanDuel who is the best Week 10 player based on their FanDuel price. Give us the reason why and list your FanDuel username. All right, everybody. I don't want to waste any time this week. Let's go to the studio. All right, everybody. Let's start taking a look at our cash lineup. Remember back to our NFL DFS class, one of the most valuable things that you can have in your cash lineup is something we call a free square running back. Somewhere where the injury occurred after the pricing was set, and basically the replacement who will assume the role of the starter is basically completely mispriced. We have that in not one situation, but I think 2 situations. The most glaring one is in Carolina, where Christian McCaffrey is listed as doubtful. They say that he is not expected to practice or play this week. And it opens up a huge opportunity at only $5,400 into Mike Davis. So look how long it's taken for me to scroll down. That should just be music to your guys' ears, relation to the value of Mike Davis. You know, it would have helped if I would have been on running backs. I probably could have gotten down quicker. Anyway, Mike Davis. The other guy is in Houston. So let's go to that. The question is, what is the status going to be of David Johnson, who is in concussion, who got a concussion, so he's in concussion protocol. Not clear whether he is going to play. His status is up in the air. But if he is out, Duke Johnson becomes a great play. Listen to what his coach says. Duke can take the load. I think we like what we see from him doing that job.
Okay, so now what I just heard, blah, 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 blah.
All right, normally that's just coach speak where we don't really care about what the heck they have to say, but proof's in the pudding. Last week, 20 touches, getting involved, not only carrying the ball and in the passing game after David Johnson went out very early in that game. So look, here's the deal. When you get a free square running back, a replacement taking over for a starter, one of the biggest concerns that you have is, well, will it be more like a committee? But we don't have to worry about it in the case of Mike Davis and Duke Johnson because their history shows that when they've taken over the starting role, they take a very similar role as David Johnson and Christian McCaffrey, respectively. Now, I don't want to feel like I'm selling you a bill of goods. Mike Davis has a very poor matchup playing against Tampa Bay, which has a very good rush defense. But keep in mind, Mike Davis does a great job in the passing game. Bridgewater likes dumping it off to his running backs, and that is what you've seen from the game script during the weeks in which Christian McCaffrey was out. So no problem putting in Mike Davis at only $5,400. I don't often say a guy is basically a must start, but given his price, I think Mike Davis is a must start and Duke Johnson is a strongly consider. these guys, as you see, is going to open up lots of opportunities elsewhere. And let's start at wide receiver. We are going to, take advantage of this extra salary and get in Devonte Adams. My gosh, this guy has just been going nuts since he has come back. And you love him in this matchup with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville, their defense celebrated last week because they finally held the team under 30 points, but it was 27 to the Houston Texans. There's nobody in the Jacksonville secondary that can stop Devonte Adams. The guy has just been an absolute target monster. I know he's expensive, but again, because we saved money at the 2 running back situations, I have no problem dialing up Devonte Adams in our lineup. Where do we go from here? Well, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. There are a lot of good options, but this guy I think is mispriced on FanDuel at only $7,000. Terry McLaurin. So let's take a look at Terry McLaurin. I don't think there's any doubt that he is the number 1 receiving option, wide receiver on Washington. Just look at the targets he's gained. But guess what just happened? There was a switch to Alex Smith. And do you notice what happened? All of a sudden, a cynic might say, all of a sudden, Terry McLaurin learned how to catch the ball, right? Look at the catch percentage with Alex Smith, 7 of 8. But we know that's not true. We know that Terry McLaurin didn't just automatically quickly figure out how to catch the ball. The passes that were thrown his way under Alex Smith were far more accurate. So I think we should continue to get this volume, but at a higher passing completion ratio. And it's a pretty good matchup against a Detroit Lion defense that is not good. So let's dial in Terry McLaurin at a very reasonable $7,000 price. And this next guy, I'm really don't understand what FanDuel is doing. They are pricing Devonte Johnson at only $5,700.
I tell you, I don't get no respect at all.
Look, when he has been healthy this year, he has been sensational, regularly getting double-digit targets in games where he doesn't get injured at the beginning of the game. And he enters this game healthy. Also, he's got a dream matchup playing against the Cincinnati Bengals. I give you one caveat, though, in this play for Deontay Johnson. His quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, was around someone who tested positive. So he's in a specific protocol. If he gets several negative tests, then Ben Roethlisberger would play, and I think we can green light Deontay Johnson at $5,700. If Roethlisberger is not a go, and we have Mason Rudolph, I am thumbs down on Deontay Johnson and almost all of the Pittsburgh receiving options. So that's something to watch. For now, we're going to put him in our lineup. All right, we're going to move on to tight end. And at tight end, I'm really surprised, again, continual thing that I have to scroll down to get this guy. Noah Fant. Assuming that Noah Fant is healthy. The good news is, although it was limited, Noah Fant did, in fact, practice this week.
I mean, listen, we're talking about practice. Not a game. We're talking about practice.
Thank you, Allen Iverson. We know we're talking about practice. That's what we're talking about. He's limited in Wednesday's practice. We hope that we'll monitor that. Hopefully that continues to be more active in practice. And it looks like if he continues with that trend, that he should be a go for this matchup. Obviously, it's something that we will track. But we love the matchup playing a Raider defense that doesn't do well against the pass. Here's the other thing to keep in mind of why I'm kind of high on Noah Fant. Let's go to this Denver game. So gone for the year is the only other tight end that was getting a lot of snaps. He's on IR, Albert O. The other thing that we're going to watch at wide receiver is what is the health of Jerry Jeudy. Now, unlike Noah Fant, Jerry Jeudy didn't practice on Wednesday. If Jerry Jeudy is out this week, I think that makes Noah Fant even more valuable in the passing game. So we're going to put him in the lineup, but there's a bunch of things we're going to monitor and take a look at before we decide that he'll be in our final lineup. All right, where do we go from here? I got to tell you, folks, I'm going to go back to quarterback. And I'm looking and I realize that I have some money to spend and I am going to spend it. At quarterback, I kind of have come to a realization about 2020 in daily fantasy football. Look, I fully respect Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, and even to a lesser extent, Aaron Rodgers. These guys are all quality quarterbacks. If I had them on my real team, I would want them. But when it comes to daily fantasy, I want a quarterback that is going to rush. He's going to help me in my cash games solidify a solid floor. Do you remember last year when we basically got to the point of saying we have to start Lamar Jackson every week? Why? Because he gives you quarterback one statistics passing with a RB1 upside. Now, people are saying, what's going on with Lamar Jackson this year? He isn't Lamar Jackson of last year. I argue he is. He just changed his name to Kyler Murray. And that's the guy that I want in my lineup. He's at a very reasonable $8,800 on FanDuel. And here's what I'm talking about if you see his game log. He is giving you quality passing statistics, but look at what are the rushing statistics. It's not just the yardage. He's averaging a rushing touchdown a game. Anytime I've been considering whether I should start a Kenyon Drake or a Chase Edmonds, my caveat always is they're not the goal line back. The goal line back, if there is one, is Kyler Murray, averaging one rushing touchdown a year this year. Really like this guy, especially in cash game. So we can spend the money for him. All right. Now, there is one game I really wanted to attack, and it's the game that has one of the higher over-unders at 51.5, but the highest implied total at an absolutely absurd 32.5 points. So they think a ton of points is going to be scored. You guys can already figure out probably where I'm going with this. I'm going Green Bay, and I already picked Devonte Adams. I'm going to load up and go with Aaron Jones. Why Aaron Jones? Just because if you watched our NFL DFS masterclass, he just ticks off all the things you'd want in a running back. He gets, he's the feature back, so he gets primarily all the carries, in addition to getting the goal line carries, in addition to being consistently involved in the passing game. And on top of all that, we love his implied total of 32.5. And we love his matchup playing a Jacksonville Jaguar team that just defense is non-existent. And they can't defend the pass. They can't defend the run. They can't defend anything. I think Green Bay is going to really load up on the points in this match. They're a 14-point favorite. You don't get that high very much in pro football. So all those reasons, really like Aaron Jones. And I know that I'm picking both Jones and Adams, but in this matchup, I think there's plenty of room for both of them to have really good games. All right, who's my last defense? I don't have much money, folks. So it's a punt on defense. I'm a little surprised, though, that they're the cheapest defense on this slate. The Carolina Panthers. DraftKings actually has them as like the 7th or 8th least, from the bottom. So I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers. They are at home. Their defense hasn't been good this year, and that's why that they're so cheap. But they are playing a Tampa Bay team coming off a dreadful game against New Orleans. And it's also a Tampa Bay team that hasn't had a lot of success running the ball. So I tend to think that Tampa Bay is going to throw the ball. It at least gives opportunities for potential sacks or turnovers, like they turned the ball over last week. But I got to confess, it's not like this Carolina defense puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback, not a lot of sacks. So I'll be looking. If I can find some value, additional value pops up, I might upgrade on defense. Otherwise, this will be my cash defense, understanding that there's a lot of if-thens and a lot of late breaking news we need to determine. Just look at our 2 lead running backs. We want to make sure Christian McCaffrey's out, and we want to make sure David Johnson's out, and we want to make sure Noah Fant is actually going to play. And with Deontay Johnson, we want to make sure that Ben Roethlisberger is playing. Ben Roethlisberger is out. We're yanking Deontay Johnson out. All right, let's move on to GPP. All right, let's go over our GPP lineup. It starts with a stack, and we are attacking one of the high-scoring games. That is Houston at Cleveland. Not only because the over-unders is 53.5, but because it's only a 3-point spread. So we think both teams are going to be scoring a lot. At least that's what the lines makers say. So I'm going to do Deshaun Watson to his 2 favorite targets this year, Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks. And run it back the other way is Cleveland's tight end, who is now healthy. Austin Hooper is simply at way too low of a price at only $5,100. As you can see, he will play in week 10 and love to take advantage of that porous Houston defense. And don't forget, Odell Beckham Jr. is out for the year. So I think Austin Hooper is going to get plenty of targets, especially given his absurdly low $5,100 price. Where do we go from there? I already talked about why I like Terry McLaurin with Alex Smith back there, so I'm not going to talk about it again. Same thing why I love Aaron Jones in his favorable matchup. Talk about Chase Edmonds at 7,100. Again, I have to give a caveat. The question is, will Kenyon Drake be back? If Kenyon Drake is back, it's going to be committee time again. I have no interest in Chase Edmonds. But if Kenyon Drake is out again, look, I know he wasn't efficient, but I still love the 28 touches he got. Love it, love it, love it. I think if he gets that this week against the Buffalo Bills, I think he will give you more production than the 10 points he gave us last week. So, and I think from a GPP perspective, he could blow up and have a high ceiling. But again, only if Kenyon Drake is out. Otherwise, we will take him out of our lineup. And the only other, I already talked about why I love Mike Davis, and I'm just going to take advantage of a small stack of that running back and defense. I think I'm telling a story here where I think Green Bay is going to demolish Jacksonville. And it's very likely the lines makers have made it a 14-point spread, a 2 TD spread. If that's the case, you can expect a really big game from Aaron Jones if it's a blowout, and you can expect the Green Bay defense to have a big game. Why? Because if they know that Jacksonville is going to pass, more opportunities for sacks, more opportunities for turnovers, and fingers crossed, an opportunity hopefully for pick 6. Watson, Jones, Edmonds, Fuller, Cooks, Mclaren, Hooper, Mike Davis, and the Green Bay Packers defense. So I just wanted to briefly share another story with you guys about someone who asked me, how do you pick the topics and structure of what you're going to cover on the show? Because there's a lot of great shows on YouTube for NFL DFS, but a lot of them are structured differently. And how I did that was simple. I said, how would I like as a viewer, because I've been a viewer of NFL DFS content for, years before I started our YouTube channel. And it was always what would I like to hear? And I didn't want a long video as a viewer. I wanted one that would get me in and out in less than 30 minutes. And I wanted one that would be on point. I didn't want them babbling about things that were nothing to do that I cared about. I wanted to know, but I wanted them to take a stand. Let me know what you think, and not only what you think, but why you think it. And that's what we try to do. I think we're unique on YouTube, especially on FanDuel, in providing a full cash and GPP lineup. But I want to be clear about something. The success, I believe, in this show, we may have had good initial ideas, but it's because of you guys. It's because we were a small channel that we were able to look at the YouTube comments and get your guys' feedback and constructive advice and opinions. And we have changed the show, and it's evolved to what we see today. And what I have today is something I am so proud of. I'm proud of it because I love the fact that you can come to this video and you'll get my opinion and clear take for cash and GPP. But am I always right? Absolutely not. Anyone who watches this channel knows that I've been wrong plenty of times. But you know where I stand, and you can make adjustments for anything you disagree. And then as a bonus, you go to the comment section and you can listen and read from our FFC community who are giving all of their wonderful takes. And I truly invite you guys to get involved as well. If you've never usually commented in a YouTube video, start now. This is a completely safe space. We got a great community. Give us your takes. And by the way, as I said in the beginning of the video, we have at least 2 more weeks where you can be rewarded potentially for $100 if your take is really good, because you'll qualify for a contest, and only 20 people will participate. And 1 week, the winner gets $50, and we do the contest again, and the other week they get $50. So I can't thank you guys enough. I hope if you watch the content and you've never been a subscriber or you never comment in the YouTube, please join us. Join us in the comment section. Join us as a subscriber. My wish for you guys is the same as I say almost every week. Please continue to be safe, take care, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.